doing it. We're doing it live.
Yeah.
We're doing it live. We'll do it live. So just look up that joke. All right, we are not live. We are recording it live, but we're
Is that
not going live.
O'Reilly?
Yeah.
Was that O'Reilly?
Yeah, he's like flipping out. We'll do it live. Hey, welcome to Bit Nerds, everyone. Your daily nerd out on the most interesting car of the day from all the automotive enthusiast auction sites. We find the most interesting car from all the auction sites, so you don't have to. We have a conversation about that car with you, and then we make a prediction as to what's going to happen with that car's auction for you, and then we reconcile our predictions with the reality of our ignorance. That is, we marry our predictions with the actual results and show just how wrong we are about almost everything. It's fun to watch us fail, so play along with us. It's like The Price is Right, only with fun, cool, classic, and enthusiast cars instead of washing and dryers. Okay, Michael Deeb, you're in San Francisco. I'm in Las Vegas. I am excited about today's car. We haven't talked about one of these in a while, but before we talk about this car, why don't you give a shout out to our friend real quick, our friends at Godden Classic of Las Vegas.
We are graciously sponsored by Godden Porsche of Las Vegas. Godden Porsche was the very first Porsche Classic partner in North America. As such, Porsche vetted Godden to make sure that they had the passion, the people, and the aptitude to handle everything with regards to every classic Porsche that's ever been made. So they've got service, they've got parts, they've got sales department, all of which can help you either repair, locate, fix, buy, or sell your classic Porsche. Call our friends at Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and let them know that the Bid Nerds sent you.
All right, there it is. All right, what is the most interesting car of the day? Everyone's awaiting.
All right, baby, check it out. I love these cars. I had one for a little while. A 2000 Honda S2000, affectionately referred to by its internal designation as an AP1. The original Honda S2000 was a 2-liter motor. This car had no electronic gizmos whatsoever, no stability program, no traction control. The AP1s revved to just about 9,000 RPM, where they made about 240 horsepower and had like about 155 pound-foot of torque. The original cars, the AP1s, have a close ratio gearbox. They have a little bit, maybe not a little bit taller first gear, but certainly closer second, third, and fourth gears. These cars also had a quicker steering ratio. So while AP2s are really beginning to break the bank in the secondary market because they have the enlarged 2.2-liter motors, they make maybe a teeny bit less horsepower. I think they make like 236 or 237 horsepower, but they make like 165 pound-foot of torque. They're better driver cars for the road. They have traction control. They've got a slower steering ratio, and they've got a normal gearbox. I still think someday down the line, AP1s will be worth more money than AP2s. And I might be the only idiot that is in front of camera, on camera, saying that. But I just think that Honda's original vision for this car is realized in the AP1s. And I think while they might not be the better driver's car on the road for everyday commuting and for your strippers and hairdressers that are driving these cars and thinking they're really cool, I think that the real AP1 as a rally car, as a track car, is a purer driver's car with all the gizmos that make it so unique, the things that I just mentioned. So limited slip differential, high revving 2-liter naturally aspirated motor. Those original, I think they're forged 16-inch wheels. I think this car is really cool. And John, here's why this car is really interesting. It's got just 29,000 original miles, and it's offered out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's bone stock, as it should be. But this colorway of the white with the black interior and the red seats, it does have red carpet, and it does have little tiny bits of red in the door card. In later cars, and I think for a couple of years, they offered a full red interior where it was like you were in the belly of a whale. You know, the dash, the carpets, the door rest, everything on the car is red. I think they only made this black with red interior for 1 or 2 years. And so by the numbers, this white car with the black interior, the red seats, winds up being really, really rare with regards to how many cars they produced over, close to a 10-year production run. I also would go out on and say that, like, when Honda made the NSX, they made the Type R in Japan, and a lot of those cars were white with an all black interior and just red seats. So I kind of feel like this white with the black interior and the red seats is sort of the poster child for cool Japanese cars. So I think this car is going to do surprisingly well when it comes down to it. And I think a lot of it's going to do with the low mileage, the original condition, and this really rare colorway. So JP, um, I think you have driven S2000s, but do you remember, or were you conscious when you drove the car whether or not it was an AP1 and you noticed the long spacing or the short spacing in the gears, or how quick the car steered? Or do you remember if it was an AP2 and you thought to yourself, wow, this is a great car for the road? I can't believe Honda didn't sell more of these things. What's your experience with this car? And I know you would much rather spend your money on an air-cooled 911, but I think if you had a collection of cars, it'd be fun to have one of these in the collection in your garage, a car that you could take out, and know that if you drove this car from Vegas to Seattle, all you'd have to do is put gas in it. You would never, ever, ever, ever have to worry about a thing. These things are freaking bulletproof. Fantastic convertible cars, over-engineered. They feel like coupes. They're so rigid. What do you think of the S2000?
Yeah, I have driven them, but I've never been cognizant of the difference between the
Yeah.
two because I've never really paid that close attention to it. I made commercials for Honda dealerships back in that era when these were new cars, and I remember just loving them. You know, because Hondas is like, okay, whatever. But then we take one of these out. I was like, oh man.
The car rips.
Yeah, if ever there was a study in how much design matters, right?
Mhm.
You compare this car to, say, a 2000, model year 2000 Miata.
Yeah.
You know, how much is a Miata worth from 2000? It'll
Yeah.
never be worth half as much as whatever this car is worth,
Yeah.
because the performance pretty darn close, right? This is definitely the better car, engineered better in a lot of ways, and it's a Honda and all those things. But I mean, on paper, these cars should be the same. I mean, but this car looks so much better. This car is a beautiful car. This car stands the test of time. This car will never look like an ugly. This car will never go out of style. Whereas Miatas are always so tied to whatever the current design trends happen to be. Oh, we need to put more radiuses here. Oh, we need to have the more squiggly lines in the headlights or whatever. Honda built this car, and they basically made the same damn car for 20 years or however long they made this car.
Yeah.
And anybody would be happy to drive one of these. I'd never be embarrassed to drive this car. Whereas a 2000 Miata, or any Miata for that matter, as good as a current Miata is, I don't want to be seen in one. They're embarrassing. The only good thing about how dumb looking they are is that no one notices you. So don't worry about being seen in one. No one's looking. Whereas this car comes out and people are going, that is a really good looking car. What is that? I bet you could drive this car to a country club or whatever, and all the soccer moms coming out wouldn't know if this could be a brand new car in 2023. Whereas Miata, everyone's looking, what is that clapped out piece of junk, even if it's in perfect condition. I love this thing, and you're right about the colorway. My GTS Cayenne happens to be the same color.
Very similar. Yeah.
No, it's
absolutely.
the same setup or same colorway. Yeah.
Absolutely. I will take offense to saying on paper they're the same. These cars really, Honda threw that VTEC motor in there, and I begged Solomon for years, who would track, he's a member at the Spring Mountain, and he would keep in a garage out there near the track a Mazda Miata, and I begged him for years, please go test drive any S2000. It will feel exactly like your Miata, but with 100 more horsepower, because these cars with the VTEC motors, they really do come on to where a similar Miata was making, I'm not sure, John, 140 to 160 horsepower. This car would just keep giving and giving and giving, and it revs on up. And when the VTEC kicks in, you get another 60 horsepower, and you take it to 240. These things fly. The steering is direct. The small, light chassis feels very similar. And I will give you that even the two gearboxes, the shift lever, you don't have to move your arm to shift a Miata, and you certainly don't have to in an S2000. Your arm rests on the armrest, and you can literally shift the car through all of the gears just with your wrist. They are absolutely incredible. They're wonderful to drive. And because I'm kind of a closet Japanese like cool car fanboy, I love the white with the red as well. So, John, without further ado, our car doesn't close for about 5 days from when we're looking at this. It's currently sitting at $25,000, and that is on 20 bids. But I believe this car has a ways to go because of the low miles, the stock, excellent condition. And again, I'm going to put another 5 grand on it for that colorway. I'm going to send it back to you, John. Please don't laugh in my face. 45,000 bucks. I think this car is going to bring AP2 money. Whereas if this car were, red or a Suzuka blue or whatever, I think it would struggle to find 30 grand. I think this car is going to do 45,000 bucks because of the condition, the miles, and the color.
You're going to laugh because that was going to be my bid. I actually
No
agree
way.
with you.
All
Yeah,
right,
I think
cool.
These cars, look, we talk about inflation all the time, broken record.
Yep.
This was a $30,000 car. Not that it was a big deal.
32. Yeah, 32 grand.
Came,
You're right there.
When they were like 2 years ago, when you started to see these go for well over 20, people were going, "Oh, what's going on?" Okay, I guess these are coming up. And when one got to 30, you're like, "Whoa, that's amazing." Well, that was a couple of years ago, or a year and a half ago. Things have changed. This car, a low mileage one like this, man, you just can't go find this car. Most of them are going to be that gray. Like, was it the Suzuka gray? Is that what you just said?
Suzuka blue.
Whatever.
Yeah, Sebring gray, whatever. They're all bad.
This is a car. You say, would you rather, have this than your air-cooled 911? It's like, man, they cost about this. They're going to be, what do you get in Porsche for $40,000 to $50,000 that's as good as this? You're talking about one. I mean, can you get a call it a 2013 generation Boxster for that? You're getting a base. Yeah. You're not getting an S. I would way rather have this than any base Boxster. As good as Boxsters are, and yeah, this car's way cooler.
What about a 944 Turbo S, like an 89 or a 90?
Yeah, I mean that would be horsepower. Similar. Yeah. Well, they didn't make a turbo convertible.
No.
So you'd have to be in an S2, and this is definitely a better car than an S2.
Yeah, an S2. Yeah,
way better.
Yeah. More reliable.
I think this car is kind of in a place where it could be considered cooler because it's just such a classic, great design. And finding a stock one like this, I definitely don't think there's a Porsche in this price range that I would rather have.
All right.
So
what's your bid, baby?
I'm going to take $1,000. I'm just going to go one blink over. I think this thing could hit 50 grand. I mean,
it could.
$30,000 2 years ago is 50,000 now. I say it all the time.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't this thing get darn near that?
All right.
Even with all the crazy bad economic forecasts or whatever, this is a blue chip car. If you get stuck holding the bag with this car, if things drop out, at least you've got a car that unlike a classic Porsche where you get something, you're going to have to spend a lot of money on maintaining that thing. Like you mentioned, this car, poor sand, man. It's just going to keep going and going and going and going.
These cars are built so well, and then Honda stands behind their car so well. You have anything that's even remotely sniffs of a warranty issue, nobody has to go call 6 people to get an approval. They're just like, come back and pick up the car in 2 hours. We'll just put a new convertible top on it for you.
Should I sell my 964 convertible to get one of these?
No, absolutely not. You should not. No. But
I'd worry a whole lot less.
Oh, that's for sure.
I'd sleep better at night knowing that it's going to work every time you get in the dang thing.
But you know who would lose sleep if you sold your 964 and bought this? Tony Mazzagatti.
It's true.
Zing.
All right. What do you guys think of this amazingly well-preserved S2000? Is this a come-up car, or are we smoking crack with our bids on these? Is this just a $25,000 car? Let us know in the comments below. Now's the time to play along with us, like The Price is Right. We are going to find out what happens with the results of this auction. We're going to fire up the future machine and find out right after this. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden, this guy.
1989 linen gray metallic G50 cab.
Is that gonna be for sale?
It is gonna be for sale. The car only has 65,000 miles on it.
Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas.
If you love watching car videos on YouTube, you gotta check out my channel, The Rami Show.
Rami's having a good time in the Aventador, the SVJ, Super Viagra Jockey. I'm pretty sure that's officially what that means. I looked it up in a welcome back, everybody. We're here in the future to find out the results of this really, really clean, pretty, kind of overlooked sports car. I think a lot of adult males kind of pass over this thing because it's just too pretty.
It's a hairdresser's car.
It does have kind of that Miata stigma a little bit, even though it's so much better a car. Would you drive one of these, Deeb? I don't know. Let's talk about that after we talk about the results. Tell me about what happened.
And I've owned one before. Yeah, absolutely. So our 2000 Honda S2000 with 20,000 miles out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, $32,000 MSRP. I said 45, I think. Let me see. Let me read my bid. And you said 46. You took the over, which made me nervous. Our car did well on Bring a Trailer John. Get this. It sold for $44,444 and sold on 47 bids. So I missed the Yahtzee by like, what is it, $516? I'm not very good at math, but John, we were all over this car. A couple things here. It's a really nice AP1 that's clean and stock. It's low miles at 25,000 miles or whatever, 29,000 miles. But I think the big thing here, as I mentioned before, is while they offered the white, they didn't offer that all black with red seat interior, but I think 1 or 2 years. So by the production numbers, low mile, clean stock, white AP1 with red seats becomes a unicorn in the secondary market. And I think that's why this car very nearly got to $45,000. If this thing were black or red or any other color, John, I think the bidding would have tapered out in the mid 30s. But I think this car probably got, and I mean this sincerely, an extra $10,000 for being this colorway, if that makes any sense. I have no way to quantify this, but the Honda heads out there will agree with me. All you Japanese car fans know there's some weird thing about Japanese cars that are all white with a black interior and red seats. That's their colorway. The same way you'd expect any Alfa or any Ferrari to be red with tan interior. Cool Japanese cars are white with red seats. That's just a thing. I know this. I don't know how to quantify it. Maybe somebody in the comments could defend me. Thank you very much. But John, I nearly got a Yahtzee. And I also won the week. This sort of concluded the week for us. So I got 3 this week, and am proud to boast at the end of the week that we did well on the show. So S2000s, our good friend Solomon has been running a Miata as his track car for years. And I tried to explain to him that he should upgrade to an S2000, and he looked at me like I was speaking Greek. Like he didn't even know what an S2000 was, or that it was significantly better than his car, which it is. So yeah, that stigma that it's Miata-esque or a stripper's car absolutely plagues this car for the people who aren't initiated. But I think for the real car guys, they know that S2000s are special. I personally think, even though AP2s with the 2.2 liter motor bring more money on average in the secondary market, I think during the test of time, AP1s should be worth more money because they're the pure vision of what Honda was trying to execute when they created S2000. The close ratio gearbox, quicker steering ratio, and absolutely no electronic gizmos make that a real driver's car. I think the AP2s are great road cars, but I think the AP1s down the road, like this car, I think well invested at $45,000, by the way. I think that was really well bought. If he takes care of it, even if he puts a few miles on it, I think these cars, the really nice AP1s, will be worth big money, maybe another 10 years down the road. But look at this, John, 23 years later at $45,000, the MSRP was 32. Over 20 years is $45,000 would you still call that MSRP, or is inflation brought that money so much higher that from 20 years ago, this car would need to sell for $60,000 to say that it's still worth sticker? Do you know what I'm saying?
For sure. I mean, come on, at least 50. These cars
Yeah,
were,
yeah.
that kind of money back then was. I mean, yeah. I love this car. It makes me want one. So I always harp about, it's 2023. Stop being a cabrio-phobe. I love convertibles. I'm fortunate enough to be able to have a few Porsches, and it's like I kind of sit there and go, you know what? Maybe, geez. Sometimes you start looking at the bills. What it takes to keep these old 911s on the road. And I'm just going, even the new ones, what am I talking about? I'm going, maybe I just say, screw it, get rid of the 964 cab and find one of these and just have my convertible that can still keep up with everything else. And just suck up the ego and just have a better car. I still have the other air-cooled car and it could still be in that little club, but I don't know, man. It just, every time I see one, I love the idea of being able to just hop in it. You could drive out to LA and up the coast to Seattle and back without a worry in the world with something like this. I'd be genuinely concerned to try to do that in any of my air-cooled 911s. Not that I wouldn't, because I'm that kind of crazy, but it's definitely something that would be in the back of your mind. Whereas this car, this would be like getting a rental car. Who cares? You have no worries at all. It's going to make it no matter where you go, and for the next 200,000 miles, you don't have to do anything but pour sand in it.
Yeah, the only thing you'd have to worry about is what time the flight dropped off your luggage, because there's no room in this car to pack any bags.
I don't have to carry around hair care products. That saves me a bunch of room. I just need nothing. I need some underwear.
It's just
I
John.
don't even need that, really.
Just John and Patootie and a Sharpie so you can sign autographs when he gets there.
Exactly. All right, guys. What do you think of the results of this S2000? Is that just too much money for an overdone Miata? Or is this the next car that's coming up? Is this a good investment? What do you think of the long-term value of an S2000? Let us know in the comments below. We do love reading those, and there seems to be more and more of them. So thank you guys so much for subscribing and being a fan and playing the game with us every day. We will see you on the next episode. Goodbye. If I can hit the end of this thing, there it is at the end.
Get those words!